Yeah. Uh, Good morning, all. Once again, I would like to thank the organizing committee to share the evidence pertaining to role of physiotherapy in COVID care during this session. Thank you very much. I thank all the members because we are involved in preparing our national guidelines. We would like to update that also. So this session, I just would like to give you a overview what are the emerging evidence and how we should take further in COVID related research. Next slide, please, madam. Yeah, that's what I told you. That's the objective. I'll be brief with my this thing so that we can have more time for discussion. Next slide, madam. When we look for evidence-based practice, when we look for evidence, we always look for systematic reviews and randomized control trials. Of course, it goes. Then we need to have a randomized control trials, and then the individual cohort studies. That's the evidence level. We are aware of that. But such a pandemic, it is very new. We are getting the evidence. It's piling. In that situation, it is, we always depend on the expert's opinion, and then getting consensus and having that postulating that useful practice points so that when we get to have the research done, so that we will be able to develop the evidence-based protocols. Next slide, ma'am. So what is what all the three speakers said? Maria Madam explained in her case study. Anjali Madam was telling about the impairments it is. So what is documented elsewhere? We keep live search about our guidelines. What we published, I'll be discussing about that also. When we keep searching, what is getting now? This post-COVID. Patient, they do have respiratory impairments. There are a couple of good studies which shows they documented the respiratory impairment is common. Of course, as we know that it affects the respiratory system. The respiratory muscle impairment, they do have respiratory muscle weakness apart from the gaseous exchange. So that is what it is strongly recommended now, the post-COVID pulmonary rehabilitation. That's what the evidence says. As Maria Madam was telling, there are good number of papers which is documenting that post-COVID patients, they do develop cardiovascular impairments, that affects the cardiovascular capacity. So they require again a rehabilitation. So another aspect, the neuromuscular rehabilitation, there are studies which showed that they develop impairments similar kind of GBS, Guillain-Barré syndrome, and peripheral neuropathy. These are all very commonly observed from the other countries when the COVID started earlier, and they have very good robust documenting system. That is what the evidence says. So when we look into that, what has to be done? If you are looking for maybe Madam, the next slide, please. Yeah, these are all some of the publications related to COVID from our country. Of course, most of the work Maria Madam is involved in that. You could see the references. If you see that one of the guidelines, what we try to put post-COVID rehabilitation, that time when we analyzed, we couldn't get we couldn't get any of the randomized control trials. It's all were experts' opinion. Many countries, they came out with the expert opinions. So what we did, we analyzed the evidence, and we also get opinions from our experts, those who are practicing in the Indian context. It is always difficult to take the evidence directly from the developed countries and applying it over here. So when we analyzed, we also identified some of the areas where we should be able to practice that. We recommended that as useful practice points. So we could identify that role of physiotherapy is strongly recommended, but how much that has to be documented. In the acute setup, when the patient, they are mechanically ventilated, unless until there is warranted, physio is not recommended. That is what we also found in one of our guidelines. That is what in the developed countries also. But if once they recovered from the ICU, our role is very much established. As I was telling you, now when we started looking for the recent evidences, now we started getting some of the randomized control trials are getting published. So some of the randomized control trials are coming up, and we also have some kind of the cohort studies with the case series with a follow up. We are getting it there. So what it says, the role of physiotherapy is becoming vital in COVID care. So we need to plan our research also, contemplate what research we are going to do. Next slide, please, madam. So when we analyze this, what has come down, we as a physios, we need to start documenting what are the impairments, activity limitations, and participatory restrictions COVID-19 patients, clients has post-discharge. That's very important. We need to document this so that we get an idea, which area we need to focus. The other thing is what appropriate outcome measures. If you see in the guidelines what we published, we documented, some of the things, either 6-minute walk test, sit to stand test, those tests, but it has to be standardized, and we need to develop appropriate outcome measures. Based on that, we should be able to develop the effective protocol. To summarize, the evidence is not clear, but what it says, the rehabilitation program has to be individually tailored. We cannot have, a common protocol, because patients are having a different system involvement. The complications are wide. We need to plan individualized. For that, we require more reasoning out and more documentations, and we need to explore which technique is better and why we should follow that. Till then, we should start documenting, and we should start observing. That's what important at this stage, based on the analysis of what is published. Thanks, madam. Over to you for discussion.
Thank you all for the lovely presentation and enlightening us with whatever the post-COVID complication we face. And of course, lots of evidence is coming out from our own nation, from India, and many more will be coming on this platform at all. I have a question to Dr. Umanjali, madam. Madam, as you said that the assessment is very important before we start the managing the patients. As you have put lots of assessment skills, or 6-minute walk test, step test, balance and all. What do you think the most important bedside assessment would be in an acute case?
Madam, in an acute case, as Narasimhan sir has said, every patient varies from the other patient. So onto the bedside, the first and the most important thing that which I would see is, before we go on to the assessment, we will go as per the history of the patient. And on the history, I would assess 3 most important things. Number one thing, as we said, what was the how, because we are speaking about the post-COVID rehabilitation, his hospitalization is what we are going to see. The person is physically active or he is a sedentary worker. And number 3, as we have said, what are his accustomed activities and what are his activities of daily living. Onto the basis of this, how much is his saturation at rest, on accustomed activities, on unaccustomed activities. If he is a person who is maintaining his saturation at rest, I would perform a 2 minutes walk test for him first. A 2-minute walk test, if the patient is not fatigued, he is not desaturating, I can extend it to 3 minutes and then go on to 6 minutes. This will give me the exercise capacity of the patient. Next is, I would ask him to perform a sit to stand test. A 30-second sit to stand test will give me an assessment of his lower extremity functional strength, which will also tell me about his fatigue. Because as Anjali madam also has said, a lot of fatigue, and we all see a lot of fatigue into our post-COVID patients. So this will also give us an idea about how much capacity this patient has and strength of his lower extremities. One more thing which I usually do with my patients is I ask him to lift up a 1 liter water bottle to overhead shoulder 5 times. This gives me a strength of his upper
Lift the
extremity.
muscles.
Yes, and if the patient is able to do all this, then I also make him do a sitting push-up test. This gives me a total fair idea about his scapular strength, and then I am ready to plan out the exercise regime as per his presentation of the assessment.
So, okay, you include some of the peripheral muscles test. Also, like sit to
Yes.
stand test will give you a quadricep also. At the same time, it will
Yes.
give you certain functional capacity of the person. Do you
Yes,
do
madam, and
respiratory muscle assessment too?
yes, a respiratory muscle assessment will usually involve, because we have bedside spirometers, an inspirometer will give us an idea about how much is the patient's capacity. Number two is his, again, baseline saturations. His baseline saturations are